transmission and Blake Alexander. The Pronto Auto Service Center car. Now, Blake is a guy that is not running the full tour. He's not running the countdown to the championship. But when his sponsor says, hey, we'd like to have you here and here and here, he says, yes, sir, let's load up and head that way.
You know, I'm guessing they must be servicing a lot of autos at Pronto.
Yes.
To be sponsoring a Fuel Funny car.
You are correct, sir.
The auto care experts and Blake Alexander's got a nice little crew guy working with him on that car.
Are you talking about Daniel or are
Yes.
you talking about somebody else?
Daniel.
Yes. Yeah, Dan Wilkerson, of course, the son of Tim Wilkerson, will be up in a couple of minutes. They had a kind of an interesting start to the season. They had an issue with the car where they could start it back in the pit 17 times and it'd be fine. They get up here ready to run, and it wouldn't start. And finally traced it, of all things, an air problem in the safety circuits that all the cars are required to have, but for whatever reason, tested in the pits, fine. When I got the body on it, got it up here, they were having problems with it, and that was a huge sigh of relief moment when they finally went, okay, now we know we've got it, because there's nothing worse than an intermittent problem.
Yeah, you'd rather have something happen all the time.
Absolutely.
Except like what happened at Norwalk.
Yeah, no, you don't want that at all. So Blake Alexander going to fire us off here with that Ford Mustang-bodied car. Let's see if we can get started off on a high note with Nitro Funny Car qualifying on a beautiful Friday afternoon here at Sonoma Raceway. It looked like 300 feet and clicked it off, and I couldn't tell from my vantage point if there was an issue down there, or if that may have potentially been a checkout run. Well, let's take another look and see if we can tell. Dropped cylinders have been a bit of a culprit for a number of teams this year. And that's why just watch the pipes and see if you see any raw fuel coming out either side. I got to tell you, Bob, didn't look bad to me. It looked like maybe just maybe that was a planned early shutoff. I don't know if we can find out or not. Okay, we'll go with not.
So 4.972 at 155.17 for those who are scoring at home or around the world. The Shelby Ford for the Pronto folks. First out. Of course, the nature of the beast. If you don't run all the races, you don't have a lot of points, you got to come out and be the first one in the fuel classes. That's not normally the desired position to be.
No, you always want to have a guinea pig go down the racetrack first, but that's why you earn your spot here the rest of the weekend. Like we saw in Pro Stock moments ago. Quickest car down the racetrack was Alex Laughlin, and that's going to earn him a spot at the back tonight. The better you run today, the farther back you're going to be in line tonight. There is the surfer, Jeff Deal. And here comes Jim Campbell for the folks at Lescure Corporation. Big Jim Dunn has had a lot of different colors on this car over the course of the year. And
I would like to have the wrapping contract for Jim Dunn's cars.
That wouldn't be bad.
I mean, let's give them a lot of credit. They go to a lot of different markets. They have a lot of people they become friends with over the years. They secure sponsorship sometime on a 1 or 2 race basis, but that car's never painted all white.
No, it's definitely a nice-looking car out there. And the Lescure Corporation, which is based here in Northern California, of course, they've spent a lot of time racing out here over the years, the Alcohol Funny Car ranks and a little bit in the Nitro ranks. And it just makes sense to get teamed up with Jim Dunn and bring their customers and folks out here for a enjoyable weekend at the races.
Yep. The Dodge-bodied car, I do believe, the Toyota on the far side. Jeff Deal, the surfer, has raced in a variety of classes over the years, settled into the funny car. And again, the California-based runner does not run all the races. A lot of the independents will be able to pick 3 or 4 or half a dozen races in their geographic part of the country. Occasionally they'll venture outside.
It's interesting with Jeff Deal, though, because there have been a lot of times when we pull into, wherever it may be, Charlotte, and go, wow, he's here?
Yes.
And, he'll take a look at the calendar and say, you know what, I got some time. I always wanted to go visit that place. Let's go check it out. Tire Deal, 410 for Jim Campbell, 304 miles an hour. Deal kicked the tail sideways, goes 533 at 138 miles an hour. But for the Lescure Corporation, that's a nice, clean opening run.
We were talking about Don Garlits before doing what he's doing at 87 years old. I mean, Jim Dunn ain't exactly a young pup out there, and he comes out there and just keeps running the car and enjoying life.
Yeah. No, you're right. He's definitely having a good time, even though he's no longer putting the helmet on. and climbing in. But he has mentored a lot of drivers over the years, and he puts a just nice, solid effort out there on a racetrack. We're going to watch this one more time very early in the session, but not a whole lot wrong with that.
Nah.
As we watch that, let's go down to Joe.
Hey, we're down here with Jim Dunn. Jim, right off the trailer, a 10. That is an excellent run. What did you do?
Yeah, well, we said 10 to a 15 because we got to let our driver get settled down before we give him a no.
Oh, here we go. I like it.
By the way, we did get word from the starting line that Blake Alexander's was a planned early shutoff. They just wanted to come out and make a little squirt and kind of go back and inspect everything. You mentioned Norwalk, and for those of you that don't know, what happened out there is they had an issue and blew the body off of it. And let me tell you something, that'll put a dent in your budget no matter how big your budget is. So sometimes a little caution is not a bad thing when you're racing nitro cars.
Gotta love Jim Dunn. Let our driver settle in a little bit before we give him an O. I just love. He is one of the great storytellers of all time. If you get a chance to sit down and talk with him, a guy that started out racing with a Volkswagen bodied machine years ago and has done everything. Had a car that ran in Top Fuel and Funny Car at the same event, the same car. They just took the body off and ran it as a dragster and stuff. I mean, he is just one of the great people in the sport over all the years. Always a joy to see Jim Dunn out there.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not, but you're not allowed to do that anymore. Far into the racetrack, let's check in with Hannah.
I was just chatting with Jim Campbell, who walked away for a moment, but was glancing over his time slip. Jim, how happy are you with the numbers you see on that slip?
Actually, it's real good. I mean, we started out here. It's a little bit warm, but not too bad. 410, hey, that's the way to start out. We went from A to B. So we have LeScure on board this weekend. Of course, Cattleman's Cut, Big Jim Dunn, and the whole family. Diana John gave me a good car right out of the gate. All we do is keep going from here.
Well, you better go O's in the next time, or Jim Dunn's going to yell at you. Just always a joy. And like I said, you got to give that team a lot of credit because they do a great job for their sponsors, come out at the different events, and always have somebody helping them out.
Down to the starting line, let's check in with Joe.
Yeah, Alan, I'm down here with Del Worsham. Get ready for Q1. What do you see out there? What do you think's possible with this session?
The track's definitely in great shape. It's a little bit warm, but the preparation and all the spray and everything, it feels really good to all of us. So let's go up there. We all talk about just want to get one good run down the track so that tonight we have a good position and try and make the best run we can to qualify. So looks good to me. I mean, I don't see any reason to run anything in the fours.
Nice.
That same thing we said earlier. They had asked Dell. They didn't take our word for it. Get a good position, get a good run tonight.
Well, Joe doubts everything you say. I believe everything you say.
Joe, you hurt me out there, brother.
He's right, Bob. I'm a doubter. I doubt.
You'll learn. Well, maybe not. You haven't learned yet, so
think about it.
Maybe not.
Just on hold here for a moment before we fire up Cruz Pedregon and the Snap-on Dodge. The side of Cruz's car has got the name of Snap-on Nitro Franchise Josh Bourget this weekend. Each and every stop on tour, they bring out a franchisee of the race, and he can come out and bring his customers and his family and his folks and be trackside up close and personal guests of Cruz Pedregon. Cruz, who I think a lot of people are looking for him to, at some point, bust out. The car's been a little bit of a slump over the course of the last year or so, and I'm not saying anything Cruz wouldn't tell you himself, but he's had flashes of performance from time to time. He really just needs to put some runs together.
I see one more race where he and John Force race. It seems like almost every time you turn around this year, those two are getting together in some way, shape, or form. But he does a nice job for his folks at Snap-on. I was actually up at their home office in Kenosha a while back and did a little video for them. And me and Larry McReynolds from the NASCAR side of things were up there. It's always nice to get the tour.
How is Larry?
Bald.
So are you.
Yeah, I know. At least I wear a hat.
Cruz Pedregon.
Wait a minute. Alan.
What?
Look who's talking.
No, I'm
kidding me. You made me look like a shaggy dog, for God's sake.
Jeez. Cruz Pedregon, who of course grew up racing up and down the California coast, riding along in the back of a station wagon with his dad, who was making a name for himself up here.
One of the great legends, his dad, they call him Flamin' Frank Pedregon, because he said he actually used to set the tires on fire during the burnouts. And there are pictures where you're sure that there are flames coming off the tires on that thing. But he used to run up here, ran at Fremont. He was one of the great legends at Half Moon Bay with the great Chico Brasini and some of the guys that, cut their teeth. You see one of our nostalgia cars coming out a little bit later on, Frank Brothers. They were big at Half Moon Bay.
Cruz came out and did a pre-race bit with us. One of the things we've been doing as of late is bringing a driver out, sit down and get to know him a couple of minutes instead of just a wave and walk off. And I asked him about those early days with his dad. He goes, oh, yeah, there was 3 of us boys. And he said, they chained us to the front axle of the top fuel car like cockroaches so we wouldn't walk away. I don't think you could do that today either.
It's a great image.
Cruz Pedregon solid off the starting mark, but out there about the 300-foot mark. You saw it start trailing a little blue as the big old Goodyears wouldn't quite hold on. Jim Campbell still showing everybody the way out there in Jim Dunn's car. Cruz Pedregon at 5:08, 147.96. Will slide into the number 3 spot for now.
I like Jim Dunn. I just admire him. I just am always impressed with what he's done and continues to do over the days, but that's not going to wind up number 1 at the end of the session. I don't believe.
No, I like your chances there, Bob.
I've been away for a while, but
thank you, Captain Obvious.
That's it. Hey, that'd be a good TV commercial campaign. Captain Obvious.
I think you're right. It might be. How about Tim Wilkerson's Levi, Ray, and Schaub car? That is a wildly painted and colored machine.
Everybody's having anniversaries. You know,
yes.
The track, the sponsor, Gainesville. I mean, like Bob and Diana.
Where are you now?
51.
Are you really?
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. One woman could put up with that for 51 years.
Now, I wasn't going to say that, but I am going to agree with it since you said it.
Someone said, how'd you guys stay married so long? I said, I traveled a lot. Went, no, really. I went, no, really.
Sean Langton over here on the right side, the Global Electronic Technology Toyota. It's funny, I think about when we were chatting earlier today, and you talk about your grandson that's about to get a master's degree, and you and I have literally known each other since before any of your daughters were married. And it's like, that's a long time for me to put up with you, too.
My oldest daughter has had her 25th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
As it, and she turned 50. I mean, I don't know if I feel like I'm getting older. She does.
And keeping with tradition, 25 days would be a long relationship for me.
Yeah, it would. Be a record, as a matter of fact.
Sean Langton out of the Coletta Motorsports team. Boy, it was a huge sigh of relief for it. Steve and Samantha Bryson's car down there when they finally busted it into the winner's circle, picking up that funny car win out at the Charlotte 4-wide. And Tim Wilkerson, I'm stunned that he hasn't won yet this year. He's had a really good car. He's been to a lot of final rounds. But as of late, he has not had the performance numbers that he enjoyed earlier in the season, and that's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, and he's got to be a little frustrated with that, too. I mean, he's been on tour for a while now for one of the great additions to it. Great help with the Dick Levi and the Levi Ray and Schaub team. Their new look car this year with the anniversary. But, yeah, you're right. For him to be shut out is really a surprise because he's had a very good car.
And he now finds himself number 10 in the countdown to the championship. Tim's car doesn't make it. There's our first 3. Sean Langton goes 3.985, 319.22. Wilk goes 432 at 214 miles an hour. Tim Wilkerson, you saw where his car got in trouble out there and kind of wagged the tail a little bit. Del Worsham just moments ago told Joe Costello, I don't see any reason to run in the 4s, and, well, he didn't. As co-crew chief, 398.
A lot of times you see in the first session, just the nature of the beast, that there's not as much rubber on the track as you'd like, no matter how much track prep you do, nothing can, can approximate the horsepower these cars are putting out. So we're seeing them get down about mid-track, and that's where the problem seems to be developing on both sides.
Interesting, though, I did talk to a couple of crew chiefs earlier in the day and said last week's double divisional certainly helped because there were a number of cars here last week putting down rubber. Let's go down to the starting line.
Alan, we're down here with Terry Haddock. Terry, every now and again you skip a session, but you're up here. What can you guys learn by checking out the other teams and watching the track surface?
Well, for our program, we don't seem to learn a whole lot. I just like watching the cars. I'm still a fan. I love this stuff more than anything in the world. But lately I've been trying to learn how to be better on the Christmas tree, so I come up and watch what everybody else does and try to see what I'm missing, because some of these guys are just unbelievable out here.
Now, you're going to run the later session, you and Cam, basically running 2 nitro cars out of the same pit. That's got to be very challenging.
Yeah, we only have enough crew to make, to run one car. So what we always try to do is run the dragster the first session, because the funny cars go first, and then it lets us see what the track will do, and then we'll run my car this evening.
Well, there you go. Doing it for the love. Terry Haddock.
I had to laugh when he said, what are you learning up here? He said, well, watch what we've done, not much.
Terry Haddock is a guy who's just been out here chasing the dream for so many years. We're watching that last pair again up on the NHRA replay. Tim made it about to the 8th mile mark, and then started turning the tire a little bit, but definitely a nice-looking run for Sean Langdon. Puts him number one for now. And
Terry had one of the great lines of all time when I interviewed him when he first came out and started racing years ago at Englishtown. He said, I'm a guy with a champagne taste and a beer budget. And he said, yeah, but I'm gonna do this. And let me tell you, to come out and run the cars like he does with Cameron Foray and everything, a couple of cars out there, I mean, I don't care who you are and what you're running. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's also a guy that, in going back a few years when it was a bit of a struggle. They've got Johnny West over there now. They've been able to get a little bit of a help to put together a better program, but I can't count the number of times he'd get out after the thing banged the blower or did something and just said, you know what, I'm not smart enough to quit. He says, I'm going to go back. I'm going to put everything together as best I can, and I'll see you at the next race on tour. Looks like they're dragging the FOD mat down there at the top end of the racetrack, and apparently diaper material on the racetrack down there. These cars all have a lower ballistic restraint device, also known as a diaper, and looks like some of that stuff got out. The FOD mat picks up all the FOD. You know what FOD is?
So the diaper that is put on the car to keep things inside the car is the stuff that we're picking up.
Yeah, basically it's like cotton, though. That's better than oil.
I got a suggestion.
No.
There's Ron Capps coming up in a couple of minutes. Ron was part of our Nitro Night last night. Jack Beckman, the Infinite Hero over there. There's a guy. Did you know there's a guy that looked just like Ron Capps taking tickets out there at the gate earlier today? Did you hear that whole story?
I did not.
Oh, man. It's a great story.
Oh, so there's no way I'm going to avoid it? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, you could ask him about it. You could ask John Force about it.
All right. Top end of the racetrack, those red lights just turned green. That's a signal to go ahead and fire the next pair. The next pair is going to be Matt Hagan and the reigning champ, J.R. Todd. Matt Hagan in his Mopar Hellcat, former two-time champ out of Christiansburg, Virginia, driving one of those Don Schumacher Dodges, and J.R. Todd, DHL, Wix filters, and Connie Coletta.
JR was out at the Nitro Night last night, and speaking of Connie Coletta, the name Scott is still on that car. Last night, somebody bought a piece of the car from when Scott ran at Maple Grove in 1994, set the national record, won the race, and blew the body off of it. Well, they had body panels from that car that the same guys had for 25 years. Brought it back there last night, and it sold at auction for $4,000.
That's awesome.
Yep. And all the drivers in there signed it. Just a nice night.
Talking about bodies, take a look at the blue one on the left side. That is the brand new Dodge Charger Hellcat wide body that they debuted in Denver last week. So got the body on the car down here. Of course, all of the DSR cars. Pumping Pennzoil through them. Matt Hagan in the left side, J.R. Todd in the right side. The target right now is Sean Langdon. Smokes the tires, and JR goes 4.009, 320 miles an hour, right behind his teammate Sean Langdon. Hagan, after going up in smoke, goes down to a 626 at 107.21. With those two Coletta Toyotas looking all right now.
Yep. Nice run by JR at the 4 flat. It was nice last night when you get the guy Brandon Bernstein was there. J.R. Todd was there. It's nice to hear them talk in glowing moments about Eric Medlin and their friendship with him and everything. So people at the racetrack do a nice job. At that Nitro Night, they've raised now almost $300,000 just on the Nitro Night over the years. And they were running the list of the people that they donate the money to here in the Sonoma County for the charities and stuff like this. And it was a very, very impressive list. So our tip of the cap to everybody here, the Speedway Children's Charities, this racetrack, for all that they do throughout the year, raising money to be good partners and good neighbors here in the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's definitely a pretty special event when they come in and remember Eric, who of course grew up just down the road from here in Oakdale, California. Bob Tasca now. The Auto Alert Ford Mustang and fast Jack Beckman in the Infinite Hero car. Boy, talk about a busting out of your shell. How about Bob Tasker the last month and a half?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like they turned the light switch on and found something. They were asking him about that, and he said, we went out earlier this year, and I think they had a big explosion or blew the car up and did something. And he said, and I knew after that we were in the right direction. I'm going, really? You did? Then they came out and they put a couple of good wins on the board, another deep run last week and stuff. I mean, right now that might be the most improved car in the class.
It certainly is solid, and a big reason for that improvement, or part of the reason for it, is the guy standing behind the car, dressed in black by the name of Mike Neff. He came over and just kind of started lending some hands and eyes and ears to the organization. Eric Lane, John Schaefer, the crew chiefs of record on that Ford. But Mike came over and really kind of pointed him in a direction, and Bob has been very candid about the fact that Mike Neff is a big part of what the turnaround has been on that team. Of course, Jack Beckman, the former champ, the former Super Comp champ. Lives just down the road in Norco, California, in his Don Schumacher fielded Infinite Hero Dodge. On a side-by-side 3-second run. I'm not being too greedy, am I?
Well, Bob can navigate that left lane in the middle of the track where everybody seems to be having some problems. He should be able to do it.
Any questions? See, Bob, you should listen to me. I've done this before. 3.951, 321.96 for Fast Jack. 3.978 for Bob Tasca. 317.27 miles an hour. Jack Beckman, who carries challenge coins for the Infinite Hero Foundation in his car each and every run, just took some of them for a ride at 321 miles an hour, and we go down to Joe.
Down here with co-crew chief Dean Antonelli. That's a nice way to get started.
Well, coming here from Denver and all the changes, you're praying that you got everything back normal. Kudos to NHRA and Safety Safari for prepping the track really nice, and our crew guys for giving us a good race car. Give us something to work with.
Take another look at this one. Not too much wrong with those two.
Now, that's a nice run. Both of them were part of the question and answer earlier in the day, and got talking about street cars. And of course, Jack's got that old Chevrolet El Camino that he's had for a number of years, and Bob riding a Ford Raptor is his street car.
Mine's cooler than both of those.
Well, I don't know.
It's faster than both of them. Giving everybody a shove at the top end of the racetrack. And I think we got a moment before we fire the next pair. And as I say that,
listen to me, Alan. We don't have a moment. Just stick with me.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Interesting that these two are running. A little get-together at the gate earlier in the day that I guess it's a publication. Ron Katz was dressed up and had a mustache and a hat on and was taking tickets. And John Force came up and Katz took his ticket and said, "That's bogus. You can't get in." And you can imagine how John reacted to that. So
John, at first not realizing it was Ron Katz who was just kind of punking him.
What kind of costume must Katz have had on that Force didn't recognize him?
I don't know.
Looked
He
like
played
an old Groucho Marx, glasses and mustache, or what?
Ron Katz was in the Snake and Mongoose movie. And I went and saw it, just dumb luck, happened to be sitting next to Jack Beckman when we watched it. And we get to the end of the movie, and Jack looked at me and said, "I thought Ron Katz was in it. I didn't see him anywhere." I'm like, "Seriously?"
Yeah.
But, I think, you know what? For Ron Katz, it's a home game. He grew up on the Central Coast, down San Luis Obispo area, and he's out here having a little fun with the Sonoma Raceway crowd. I wonder how many people came in and got their ticket taken by Ron Katz and didn't realize that it was Ron Katz.
I know. They said some people did recognize him. I said, and Force didn't? And then I thought, we're talking John Force here.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't really be a total surprise.
Napa Auto Parts, Carlisle Tools, Pennzoil, and Dodge on the side of Ron Katz's machine. And for John Force, it's Peak, Coolant, and Motor Oil. Cornwell Tool joined their team, and of course that is a Chevrolet Camaro. Force actually driving the car that Courtney raced last year and had so much success with. And most of the crew as well. I think they miss Courtney.
I think the fans do.
I guarantee that. Both of them driving around a little bit at the top end. 396 Ron Capps, 397 John Force. Ron Capps goes 3.960, 321.19. John Force goes 3.974 at 319.98. We get into the top 10, and all of a sudden the performance steps up.
Hope we get an interview at the end of the track.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be a riot? We're going to take another look at that one. But before they fire the next pair, I always do this when it's quiet. The Make-A-Wish Dodge is coming up next. And we have fans each and every week that ask about the Make-A-Wish Dodge. I want to be sure that everybody is completely clear, and this goes for the Infinite Hero car as well. Not one dime of donated money goes into the running of the race cars. They are both completely privately funded. A lady by the name of Terry Chandler started the program a number of years ago. We lost her a couple of years ago, but her family is carrying on the tradition. But if you support Make-A-Wish or if you support Infinite Hero, don't ever think that they're taking your donations and spending them to go racing. That's not the way it works. Top end of the raceway while they fire the next pair. Let's check in with Hannah.
With J.R. Todd, who has wins here in both Top Fuel and Funny Car, what is it about Sonoma Raceway that works so well for you?
It's the Coletta gang. They always seem to run well here. Todd and Jono. I'm sure they're probably wanting to run a little better than a 4 flat with that DHL Toyota. But I love coming out here. Steve Page and his staff, they do an awesome job here. And we got Bob Fry here this weekend on the mic. It's awesome hearing him. Got to spend some time with him last night, the Eric Medlin deal, and just love being here.
I second that. I love spending time with Bob Fry from time to time.
The accent being on time to time. No. J.R. Todd, one of 2 guys who've won this race in Top Fuel and Funny Car. Do you know who the other one is?
I'm going to guess. Kenny Bernstein.
Matt. Don Perdone.
That was the next guess.
Yeah, always the next guess.
It almost has to be. Tommy Johnson and Robert Height, 1 and 2 in the points. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody win a race, and I mean including Indy, that enjoyed the moment as much as Tommy Johnson Jr. did winning Denver last week.
Why is that?
Because he went to his first final round there in 1984 and got beat. He went to a final in Alcohol Funny Car, got beat. Went to a final in Top Fuel, got beat. Went to a final in Funny Car, got beat. And finally, 35 years later, he won what he considers one of his home racetracks. I think it's funny that, his first runner-up was to Chad Langdon, who is Sean's dad in Super Gas, 35 years ago. Then he lost to Pat Austin. He lost to Joe Amato, and he lost to Robert Height. So he hadn't exactly been out there duck hunting getting into the final, but he wanted that so bad. It was really a special moment.
Saying this is probably the best year of his career. He's running well. He's got a couple of wins, well up in the points. I mean, anytime you get to run last in that first session, things aren't too bad.
You are correct. The guy in the other lane is Robert Height, the Auto Club of Southern California Chevrolet, and he is leading the points at this particular point in time. Great way to close things out. 398 Robert Height, 324, 399 Tommy Johnson, 319 miles an hour. So Jack Beckman leads all comers, but certainly picked up the performance a little bit there towards the end, and I guarantee you all of those guys, just like us, are looking forward to later on tonight.
It's a pretty impressive run there. Big speed there by Robert, who's been doing that all season long. I mean, that car has been the standard bearer for the first half of the season, and guys kind of like creeping up on him. It's going to be a great run to get the top 10 into the countdown, and then the last 6 races should be fun.
It should be a blast. They've got these 2 guys over there named Chris Cunningham and Jimmy Prock that they've gotten pretty good since you left. Maybe even before. Let's take a look at the top half of the ladder down there. J.R. Todd's 4 flat ended up 8th. Now, will be a 16-car field. Tommy Johnson Jr.'s number 7. Robert Height is 6. And Sean Langdon is number 5. The top 4, how about Bob Tasca? 4. John Forestry, Ron Capps. Tickets, get your tickets. And fast, Jack Beckman showing the way. He'll get to be last tonight.
I would love to have been at the gate when